All right, chapter 28, page 809. Comptus Rendus 141-576. Report by M. LaCroix, who had been living near Stromboli at the time, that at this time of the fall of dust there had been no more than normal activity of Stromboli. Long afterward, the result of Professor Agamemnon's investigation was published. He could find only one witness. It is not easy to think of an organic control that would beguile its human supernumeraries into manageable concentrations for limited purposes, also permit of Professor Agamemnoni to receive of warnings for them. But if in supermetabolism there is, as in suborganisms, the catabolism of destructions, also there are restorations. Anabolic vibrations known to the people of this earth as sympathy and charity shook from pockets as far away as California money that rebuilt the mutilated tissue of Italy. Something else that every conventionalist will explain as mere coincidence is that down from the sky came deluges upon the quaking land of Calabria. There was widespread need for water at this time. India, pitiable, as described in accounts of one of the severest of droughts, the wilt of a province. The ebb of its life is at the rate of 2,000 of its starving inhabitants a day in the town of Sind. Its people shrivel and its fields burn down, wrinkled with trains of dark-skinned refugees, a band of natives in a desolate copse, trunks and limbs of leafless little trees and shrunken arms and legs merge in one jungle of emaciation. A starving native flat in a field, he has crawled away from the long white cloud of dust of a trampled road. It might be hell anywhere, but there are glimpses of the escape. What is that? Especial hell. Wait. It might be hell anywhere, but there are glimpses of the especial hell that is India. Breech clout of the starving native, pinned to it a string of jewels which, though dying, he had stolen. Long, wide cloud of dust that is a landscape girdle, and it is emblazoned with a Raja's elephants. There was intense suffering at Lahore. All the gods were prayed to for rain. Upon the 9th of September, there was an earthquake at Lahore. All the gods answered at once, combining their deliveries with an efficiency that smashed houses. Allahabad, Pioneer Mail, September 15th, houses collapsing in great numbers and the occupants wandering homeless. Such an occurrence at the season is most unprecedented and has taken everybody by surprise. Main Street, any good-sized American city, a dull afternoon, the barbershop and the cigar store on the corner, much dullness. A sudden frenzy. Main Street rushes out of the town. Or a human mind in a monotonous state of smugness. There's a temptation or the smash of a conviction, and something that has taken for a principle rushes out of it in a torrent of broken beliefs. That delirium or frenzy or anything else mental or human is not exclusively mental or human, but just what are my data for thinking that the principal street of an American city ever did rush out of the town? Well, something similar. It was at the time of the deluges in India. There was a monstrous fall of water in Kashmir. Many of the inhabitants of the city of Srinagar, Kashmir, lived in rows of houseboats upon the river Jhelum, a sluggish, muddy stream with so little visible motion that between the rows it looked like a smooth pavement. It suddenly went up 17 feet. The two long rows of houseboats rushed away. Another river in Kashmir smashed a village. On its banks it left parallel confusions. Notch a butterfly's wings. This is mutilation. But correspondingly notch the other wing, and there is balance. Two mutilations may be harmony. The doubly hideous may be beautiful. If on both sides of the river that was a subsiding axis, mothers simultaneously screamed over the bodies of children. This correspondence was the soul of design. Two anguishes, neatly balanced in parallel lines of wreckage, satisfy the requirements of those who worship godness as only harmony. A quaking zone of Europe and Asia was deluged. Drought in Turkey, earthquakes, plentiful rain, tremendous falls of water, and shocks were continuing in Calabria. Spain was flooded. September 27th, another severe shock at Lahore, and this day, again, dust of unknown origin fell from the sky in Calabria. A current of hot air came with it, according to the Levant Herald, October 9th. Many persons were asphyxiated. According to description, it was a volcanic blast that cannot be traced to origin upon this earth. If it came from somewhere beyond this earth, such a repetition in Calabria is a coincidence or is an indication that this earth is stationary. It is easier to call it a coincidence. There was a new star. Upon the night of August 18th, an auroral beam such as has often been seen in the sky at times of volcanic eruptions upon this earth and at times of new stars was seen in England. Upon the 31st of August, Mrs. Fleming at Harvard University Observatory, looking over photographic plates, saw that a new star had been recorded on and after the 18th. The new star, diminishing, continued to shine during September. Our expression upon auroral beams is that vast beams of light have often been seen in the sky at times when terrestrial volcanoes were active. That similar appearances have been seen at times of new stars and may be considered light effects of volcanoes, not terrestrial. For records of several of these beams, one while Stromboli was violent, September 1st, 1891, and one July 16th, 1892, while on the greatest eruptions of Etna was occurring. See Nature, volumes 44 and 45, and Popular Astronomy 10-249. For one of the latest instances, see newspapers. April 16, 1926. While Mauna Loa, Hawaii was in eruption, a beam of light was seen in Nebraska. There's a new light in the heavens, and there's a disturbance upon this earth as if in interaction that could not occur if trillions of miles intervene. Mere coincidence. There's a quake in Formosa. And there's a quake in California. Only coincidence, says the conventionalists who are committed to local explanations. April 18, 1906, the destruction of San Francisco. The governor of California appointed a commission of 8 professors to investigate the catastrophe. The 8 professors ignored, as coincidence, everything else that had occurred at the time and explained in the usual local geological terms in Nature 73-608 is published Dr. Charles Davidson's explanation, which is in terms of a local subsidence. Dr. Davidson mentions nothing else that occurred at the time. At the time, a disastrous quake in Formosa and the most violent eruption of Vesuvius since April 1872. Activity in a long-dormant volcano in the Canary Islands, quake in Alberta, Canada, sudden rise and fall of Lake Geneva, Switzerland, eruption of Mount Azuma, Japan. See back to the occurrence of St. Pierre, Martinique, May 1902, 30,000 persons who perished properly, blackened into cinders with academic sanction. They turned into ashes, but the principles of an orthodoxy were upheld. January 1907, and the ignoramuses of Jamaica. They saved their own lives because they did not know better. About 3 o'clock afternoon of January 14, 1907, there was a sudden darkness at Kingston, Jamaica. People cried to one another that an earthquake was coming, and many of them ran to parks and other open spaces. The earthquake came. The people who ran to the open spaces lived, but 1,000 of the others were killed by falling houses. A web that has spun of dogmas caught 1,000 victims. After the quake, the ruins of Kingston sprawled like a spider, stretching out long black lines that were trains of hearses. But all who ran to the parks, believing that appearances in the sky did mean that catastrophe upon the earth was coming, lived. I have given data for thinking that a de Balor or any other conventionalist would ridicule these people for so interpreting a mere coincidence. October 1907 and March 1908 falls from the sky of substances like soot and ashes, catastrophes upon this earth and new stars that were discovered by amateurs. See the English Mechanic 86-237, 260, and the Observatory 31-215. December 30th, 1910, new star, disastrous earthquakes, an enormous fall from the sky of a substance like ashes. The new star, Nova Lacertae, was discovered by Dr. Espin, a professional astronomer. Photographic records were looked up. Almost 6 weeks this star had been shining unobserved at this Earth's observatories. It was visible without a telescope, fifth magnitude. For almost 6 weeks, a new star had shone over the observatories of this Earth, and no milkman had reported it. However, without chagrin, we note this remissness, because it is no purpose of this book to spout eulogies to the amateur in science. It is only in astronomy that the humiliation of professionals by amateurs is common. I have no records of little boys running into laboratories, startling professors of chemistry or physics with important discoveries. The achievements of amateurs in astronomy rank about with a giving of information upon current events to a Rip Van Winkle. I'll not apologize because no night watchman hammered for several hours upon the front door of an observatory, rudely disturbing the spiders.